Hello, this is Darren. Again, this is the third screencast in this Rails testing series. I'm going to pick up where we left off, which was the hope to have a website that allows people to comment on the current weather. And we have a working weather controller, a single unit test, and we've verified that we have a blank page that actually works and works through our controller. So the question is, how do we go from this blank page to our goal? So we want people to be able to comment on the weather. Before we can have people comment on the current weather, we need to be able to put the current weather on this page. So I just want to point out, we're not going to start with a bunch of Rails models or starting tables. We're going to stick with just how do we answer this question. Um, so I'm going to go to the controller. We need to somehow get the current weather on the page. So how do we pass data, like the current weather or anything, from the controller to the view? Well, in Rails, you set an instance variable. So we need to get that weather instance variable set in the controller. So let's just go ahead and start writing our tests. So I'm going to say describe the current weather, or showing the current weather. It should show the current weather. We want to get that weather variable set on our controller. So we need a controller. Now I'm going to jump ahead a little bit in mini-test testing. I'm not going to do it like in the very basic manner. You don't have to necessarily write your unit test in this exact fashion, but I found this works for me. So I'm going to go and use the mini-test as let to set a weather controller. So if somebody, let's just think, if somebody calls index on the weather controller, it should set the weather instance variable. So we need to be able to say, in Ruby you can use instance eval to get to the privates of any class. So I'm going to say that weather variable should be the same as weather. Well, what's weather? Well, this is probably the point where I'm really going to deviate from most common Rails development, in that I think at this point, many Rails developers at least would right now start looking for a gem that would give them the current, the weather, right? But I'm going to say, let's not even answer that question right now. Let's just get the basic orchestration of the flow set up. So I know I need to have some kind of weather, but I don't know what it's going to be yet. So let's just set it there, right? So how do we get this weather object into the controller? Well, we will need some sort of model or some kind of object that will, I think, return the weather. So I'm just going to call it weather. And I'm going to say get for things. We want the people to be able to comment on their weather. So like if I'm in Olathe, Kansas, I want to be able to comment on Olathe, Kansas weather. Or maybe the major city, like the Kansas City, or the state. I don't know yet. So but what I do know is that we need some kind of location. So I'm going to say weather get for location. But even this is like, how do I get that weather object in there? So if you've never done like I guess like Java or C# or some testing like that, this might be kind of foreign, but we're going to need some kind of mocking setup. So let's go to the gem file. Mini-test is great, and I don't think they should change this part of it, but it does not have any mocking with it, so we're going to have to bring our own in. I love the gem called Mocha. It makes very easy mocking. And I'm, of course, jumping ahead. Don't be upset if you don't understand this sort of thing, but I'm going to set up Mocha. That's all it takes. So since I have not defined this weather class or any method on it, it doesn't exist, I'm going to fake it now. So I'm going to say weather stubs. So if somebody calls get for, and they pass a location object, it should return the weather. Okay. But now we're at the same spot. How do we get the location in there? So Let's do the same thing we did with weather, and let's make it up. I'm going to say if somebody calls on this brand new object location, if somebody calls current on it, it should return the location. What's that location object? We don't even know yet. So let's continue to make it up. Okay. Let's go and run this. Oops. Maybe I should make my gem font correct. Make it gem. Okay. This is test-driven development, so the tests are going to start driving us into building things. So first thing it's going to say is, I have no idea what a location is. So let's make that test pass. And I've already done this before, so that's why you saw it there. So let's go ahead and create the location. I'm just going to create the class. That's all I need to make that go away. I think it's one thing about test-driven development that I haven't really seen in Rails is the test should be driving like small steps, not one huge, like a whole bunch of steps, setting up tables and all that. Undefined method return. Sorry, I need to type this stuff in right. It's not return, it's returns. It's going to say, I don't know what you mean by weather, so let's make the weather. So I have a new location and weather. Undefined method index. Well, you know, when we were just testing and playing around, just getting our first test to go, we called this say hello. Well, I'm going to rename this to index. That'll make that method pass. You see how short these iterations are. This, you know, one little simple error, we fix that, it goes to the next one. The test tells us the failure test should be same as, it should be, must be same as. Sorry, I did a little bit of C# development today, and I had that stuck in my head. Okay, so now we're actually at the point where it says weather, says expected nil to be the same as, you know, this object we're testing against here. So here, how do we get weather set? Well, I can't just do this. Because when you say in mini test, if you say should be or must be same as, it's going to actually test for the specific object. So let's make this pass. Weather get for location. What's the location? Location.current. Okay, so even though we still haven't figured out what or how we're going to get the location or how we're going to get the weather, we've at least made some progress in that we've defined some flow. The controller is going to orchestrate this behavior of bringing down the current weather, you know, and like that's locked down. So we'll pick up from here next time.